Hi y'all, it's Becky Raisler. I have Becky's Journals on Instagram and on YouTube. Today I'm going to show you real quick a list I made up of 20 types of papers I use to make full-size journal pages. And when I talk about full-size journal pages, I'm talking about unfolded pages before you fold them. And if you saw my last video, I guess, or the video before that, I'm not sure, but I was creating journal pages for my Reader's Digest condensed books journals that I've been making. I've got 6 of them that I'm in the process, and I'm down to like the last 3. But anyway, I was making journal pages, and I just made up a whole bunch of journal pages the right size. These are the ones that I had left over because I always make more than I actually need. So the next time I make a batch of Reader's Digest journals, I've got some of the exact size. Now there's lots of different types of papers that you can use to go in your journals. Just about anything you can think of, you can sew into your journals. But I have noticed, here I've got some examples. I have noticed that the older I get, the more trouble I'm having with my hands with arthritis and stuff. These things happen. It's just easier for me to sew in my journal pages when they're all the same size. I love, love, love the look of all the different size pages, but you know, it's you do what you can do, right? Anyway, the way this is a brand new journal that I just got through making, the Reader's Digest journal, and I'm going to show you the pages that I put into it. I chose a variety of pages, but then I'm going to go down the list of the types of things. Now here's what I do. Instead of making them all different size, I do tip-ins and fold-outs. Tip-in is just where you fold over the edge of another page and glue it down. That's a tip-in. Fancy word for a simple thing. And a tip-in is how you make flip-ups and fold-outs and all that stuff. So this is a brand new journal. Here's another tip-in. Flip up, fold out, whatever you want to call it. The only thing, this is a brand new, so it's only got, the only thing it has in it so far is a few tip-ins, and this is just how it is when I sew in my journal signatures. And this is the way it's easiest for me. I just don't like the fumbling around, and I want to do it as fast as I can. It's not my favorite part, so I want to do it as fast as I can to get it over with so my hands won't hurt so bad. But here's a brand new journal, and the next video I'm going to be doing is about how I make the steps I take to make my journals, and this will be step 2. So look for that. Okay, so I made all these pages. Some of them are not finished completely yet. You know, they've got white backs or whatever, and I'll take care of that before I when I make my signatures and before I sew it in. So here is 20 types. Another thing, when I was mass making all these pages, I had a hard time remembering what I had in the closet. You know I've got, because I've been doing this for a number of years, I've got lots and lots of different kind of papers and books collected, but I forget what's in my stash, and the older I get, the harder it is for me to remember. So I don't have to remember anymore. I've got a handy dandy list. So if I am at a yard sale, or if I'm at a thrift store or an estate sale, I can review this list. I just take a picture of it and then look at it on my phone. So anyway, I found that it's going to helpful. I'm going to put this up on my board for myself, my bulletin board, so I can remember. But here I'm going to show you some of the pages, and I'll read the list to you. So everybody knows about scrapbook paper. I've got tons and tons of scrapbook paper. I love to buy scrapbook paper. And a quick note, I don't have digital prints on my list because I don't use digitals. If you use digitals, it's great. More power to you. I just don't have a decent copy machine that will print out good copies. So I don't bother with trying to do digitals. Besides, I enjoy buying paper so much. So and I've got enough paper to last me the rest of my life. But here's some ideas for you. Besides scrapbook paper, you have graph paper. And I pick up graph paper in these pads. This was from the dollar store. So, I mean, graph paper and all the papers I use are relatively cheap, or else I got them at a yard sale. Or since I used to do a lot of, I was a professional artist for a lot of years, and I made paintings and sold them. And, I have art supplies out the wazoo. So some of these things I happen to have on hand. But one of my favorite things to use is these great big coffee table books. This is so big. It's huge. It's like 2 foot tall. It's giant. And what it is, it's a world atlas. And I got this book of maps, World Atlas, at a library sale. And these pages just tear right out, and you use them in your book. And I paid $1 at the library sale for this great big book. And it'll last me. I'll never use it up in my lifetime. I will never use it up. And then all this will go back to the thrift store where I originally got it from, or a yard sale when I'm done with it. But this is one of my favorite things. It's coffee table books. There's all kinds. That back in the 60s through the 80s, they made these big old large coffee table books of photography that you would put out as when your company comes over, you've got something to show how cultured you were with your art books and your photography books on your coffee table. It was a decorating thing back then. Another thing is children's coloring books. They are cheap, 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 and you can get them at the dollar store. You can find them at the garage sales and what have you. I mean, children's coloring books, and also after COVID, a lot of people started homeschooling their kids, and you can find at thrift stores now just tons of children's school workbooks that have come out for homeschooling, and people use them and then they don't complete all of it, or they don't fill it out, or they get done with it and they throw it at the store. They throw them out. But anyway, if you've got children's school workbooks or old homework pages that have been graded and then returned home or what have you, those kind of things are cool to put in into your journals. Stationery, you can buy pads of stationery or packets of stationery online. I've bought some at Amazon that was really nice. That was 8.5 by 11 American size, standard copy paper size. And those are great to buy. Lined notebook paper, regular old lined notebook paper is great. I happen to have these from the, just left over from something. By the way, if you're a beginner and you're just starting out, spiral notebooks are great to do your first journals in. I started journaling back when I was a teenager, well, preteen really. I was 12 or 13 years old when I started journaling. And for about 20 years, my journals were all made in spiral notebooks. And I like that because if you make a page, you write in it and you don't like it, or, you know, just tear it out and throw it away. And, you know, that means more room to add more stuff to it. So I highly recommend it if you're just starting out. Start out in a spiral notebook. Lined notebook paper pads. I keep these on hands because I do a lot of writing outside of my journals. I do a lot of writing, and so I buy these. These are the legal size notebook pads, and they fold up in half to make a good size page. Anyway, I keep these on hand, and I like that. Lined notepads, lined notebook paper if you have notebook paper. Here's some, I don't have an example right offhand, but Franken Pages, those are pages made from scraps, different like if you have strips of scraps, you can make full pages from your scraps, and called Franken Pages. And I do have a video on making Franken Pages if you'd like to see that. It's super easy, and it's one thing I do when I'm just bored or not feeling particularly inspired. I make Franken Pages. Also, and I don't know, doesn't look like I have it on the list, but you can use these. These are, oh gosh, my mind just left me, and that happens more and more these days. What do you call these? Collage papers. Well, it'll come to me, but you can use these. They're awful thick though for pages. When you collage on a full page like that, they would be good for a cover of a signature. The ones that you collage fully on like that would be good for the cover of a signature. Old atlas map books, same thing. Coffee table books. Embroidery or sewing patterns. Now, I found a book, a soft cover book in a thrift store that was embroidery patterns that I've been using for years, carrying pages out of that and making pages in my journals. But if you're using sewing patterns that are real thin, you need to either photocopy them or glue them to a backing of a paper so it'll be sturdy. Hand-dyed papers. Here's some of my hand-dyed papers that I've got. And colored copy paper. You can buy, that's what this was actually stationery. Let's see if I've got a colored copy paper in here. I may have used it. Here's an example of a Franken page. Pages glued together or extended. That's technically a Franken page. That was made with a children's workbook. There's another example of a Franken page, just pages glued together. Well, colored copy paper is just like, here's it. This is a piece of colored copy paper. And you can buy here in the U.S., you can buy at Office Depot, you can buy colored copy paper for like $5 for a big ream of it. And they have pink, blue, green, yellow. It's really, it's just like regular white copy paper, except it comes in colors. Another thing that I have on hand that I haven't written down is children's construction paper. This is a piece of old construction paper that I used. I didn't put it on my list. Let's see. Old calendars. I don't have an example of an old calendars, but when you get through using a calendar, you can cut those a year's worth of pages down to go in your book. sketchbooks. There's always tons of old sketchbooks around in my house. I probably have 8 or 9 of them that I have acquired over the years, and I need to donate them, and I just haven't gotten around to it. But sketchbooks and art paper pads, these things you can pick up. This is pastel paper. I was a pastel artist, professional pastel artist for years, but it is a heavier weight art paper is what it is. It comes in various colors. This was an inexpensive brand. I paid way back years ago, $8.79. I probably got it for half price. And this is one of the art pads that I still have left over from my art pastel days, but I have since sold all my pastels. You can pick up these at yard sales. You know, they're partially used. Great, you know, that's fine. Brown rolls of wrapping paper. You know, that stuff that that you can buy wherever they sell boxes and stuff, and people used to years ago wrap their boxes in this brown wrapping paper. So you see it in the store, and it's just, I don't like using it because it's hard to get it where it'll stay unrolled. You know, you have to flatten it down, but it is a good weight. It's fairly lightweight and it's sturdy. And if you like brown, you can make it, make pages out of it. Ledger paper, if you can find those great big old long ledgers, they make great pages. My favorite thing, absolute favorite thing in the world is sheet music. I love making pages from sheet music. I have a bag of it that I've had in there for years because I used to use a lot of sheet music in my collages that I made and sold. I also did a lot of collage art and used a lot of collage in my mixed media artwork that I sold. So I have a lot of sheet music. The best place to get sheet music is on the last day of an estate sale of someone who taught piano. And that's where mine came from. Tracing paper, and I also included wax paper, vellum, and glassine because they're all similar. But tracing paper is very inexpensive to buy, and you can get it just anywhere. And I do mean anywhere, and it's super inexpensive. And another thing that I use that I've got on my list is drop paper. And I'm going to use this list and keep it handy for the next time that I put together pages for my books to remind myself of all these things that I've got on hand that I have or have had or can get easily to make the full-size pages. But drop paper is the paper that you put down on your desk to protect your desk while you're doing artwork. So like if you're inking a page and the ink gets outside the lines, you know, or if you're using wet media of some type, drop paper is what you put underneath. I used these great big, 36-inch long sheets of drawing paper that I have a bunch of around here as drop paper, but you could use lots of different things, just whatever paper that you have easily as drop paper. But if you use drop paper, save it, and then you can turn it into book pages. A note here that I've made: the weight or the thickness of your paper determines how it can be used in your journal. So if you're using mixed media or wet media in your journal, like a lot of people like to, you need thicker, heavier pages. And so if I'm going to be using mixed media in my journal, then I use a lot of pages that are glued together or heavier weight paper in my journal. If it's going to be more of a writing journal, I use all lighter weight paper. Also, if your paper is really old and brittle and starting to deteriorate, it's going to be turning brown, it's becoming brittle, it cracks and breaks apart easily, then you need to back it with a sturdier paper. You don't need to throw it away. Just get out your glue stick and back that old paper with, say, some copy paper or something fairly thin that'll be sturdier. You can also back it with a thin fabric. I hope this gives you some ideas that you can use in your journals. If you want a copy of my list, look to me on Instagram at Becky's Journals. I will post a copy of the list in photograph format so you can save it to your phone. And also I'll be posting it on Facebook, and you can follow me on Facebook at Rebecca Raisler. Be sure and follow me. Subscribe to my channel if I gave you some ideas that you can use too, and check out all the other videos that I've got made available at Becky's Journals on Instagram. Bye-bye.